Chapter 18: Carrying Reality Consciously. Imagine standing outside on a clear night. You look upward. The stars stretch across the sky. For a moment, the concerns of daily life become smaller, not unimportant, simply placed within a larger frame. You remember that you are part of something vast, something ancient, something that existed before you arrived and will continue after you are gone. The experience is often humbling and strangely comforting. Throughout this book, we have explored many layers of civilization: human nature, social learning, belonging, stories, belief, identity, trust, institutions, energy, complexity, constraint, history, perspective. Each layer revealed something important about the world we inhabit. Yet another realization gradually emerges. No individual can fully comprehend it all. The terrain is simply too vast. This observation can produce two very different responses. One response is frustration. The desire for certainty, the desire for complete understanding, the desire to eliminate ambiguity and complexity. Human beings naturally seek simplicity. We want the world to fit comfortably inside our mental models. Reality rarely cooperates. The second response is humility, the recognition that understanding is always partial, that maps are not the territory, that every perspective captures something while leaving something else unseen. This form of humility is not weakness. It is orientation, a willingness to encounter reality without demanding that it become simpler than it is. One of the recurring themes of this book has been the importance of seeing beneath the surface. Behind behavior lie incentives. Behind institutions lies trust. Behind trust lies identity. Behind identity lies stories. Behind civilization lies energy. Behind complexity lie constraints. Again and again, the visible world rested upon deeper foundations. The lesson extends beyond civilization. It applies to life itself. Much of reality is hidden. Much of what matters is not immediately visible. This realization encourages a particular posture toward the world. Curiosity rather than certainty. Attention rather than assumption. Participation rather than detachment. The goal is not to possess reality. The goal is to remain in relationship with it, to continue learning, to continue adjusting, to continue seeing. At the same time, orientation is not merely intellectual. Civilization is not an abstract system existing somewhere outside us. We participate in it. Every act of trust, every relationship, every institution we support, every story we tell, every responsibility we accept, every child we teach, every promise we keep. The civilization we have been studying is partly composed of such actions. This means that stewardship becomes unavoidable. Whether we recognize it or not, we inherit a world shaped by others. Languages, institutions, knowledge, infrastructure, norms, traditions. The inheritance is imperfect, yet it is real. The question is not whether we received an inheritance. The question is what we will do with it. Stewardship differs from ownership. Owners imagine that something belongs entirely to them. Stewards recognize that they are temporary participants within a longer continuity. A steward cares for something that existed before their arrival and will continue after their departure. Civilization invites precisely this perspective. We are beneficiaries, participants, caretakers, and eventually ancestors. History reinforces this lesson. The people who built roads, schools, power systems, libraries, hospitals, and institutions rarely benefited fully from their own efforts. Much of what they created was intended for people they would never meet. The same is true of us. Many consequences of our actions will unfold beyond our lifetimes. Civilization is partly an act of cooperation with the future. This realization changes the meaning of responsibility. Responsibility is not merely obligation. It is participation, a recognition that our choices influence the world inherited by others. Every generation contributes something. The question is whether that contribution strengthens or weakens what follows. Yet stewardship requires another quality as well: gratitude. The deeper one studies civilization, the more difficult it becomes to sustain the illusion of self-sufficiency. Every person depends upon countless others: teachers, builders, engineers, farmers, scientists, parents, workers, inventors, caretakers. Generations of effort quietly support modern life. The inheritance is far larger than any individual contribution. Gratitude becomes a natural response to this recognition. Gratitude and responsibility belong together. Gratitude without responsibility becomes passivity. Responsibility without gratitude becomes burden. Together they create stewardship, a way of participating consciously in the world we inherit. Perhaps this is the deepest lesson civilization offers. Human beings are simultaneously small and significant, small within the vast sweep of history, small within the scale of the universe, and yet significant because individual choices still matter. Lives matter. Relationships matter. Integrity matters. What we build matters. How we treat one another matters. The scale of the universe does not eliminate the significance of human life. It provides context for it. A pattern should now be becoming visible. The journey began with human beings as social creatures. It expanded into stories, identities, institutions, and civilizations. It descended into energy, complexity, and constraint. It ascended through history and perspective. And now it returns to a simple question. How shall we live? Not as masters of reality, not as passive observers, but as participants. Conscious participants within a reality larger than ourselves. The goal is not certainty. Reality remains too vast for that. The goal is not control. Civilization remains too complex for that. The goal is orientation, a way of seeing clearly enough to act responsibly, a way of carrying reality without pretending to possess it, a way of remaining humble without becoming passive, a way of remaining grateful without becoming complacent. Closing orientation. Civilization is one of humanity's great achievements. It is also one of humanity's great inheritances. Stories, institutions, knowledge, trust, infrastructure, and culture have been handed forward across generations. None are perfect. All require care. The study of civilization ultimately leads not to certainty, but to stewardship. Not to control, but to participation. Not to answers that end inquiry, but to questions that deepen it. Perhaps wisdom begins when we recognize that we are neither the authors of the whole story nor separate from it. We are participants within it, temporary carriers of an inheritance, temporary contributors to a future we will never fully see. The task is not to carry the entire world. The task is to carry our part of it consciously. And perhaps that is enough.